All right, everybody, we're back for another episode of the Reup Productions Podcast. Today, we've got an awesome guest, James Diastis with Moda Group. James, how you doing today?
I'm good. And it's Bobby, right?
Yeah,
Not
it's
Roberto.
Bobby.
Depends on the circle.
Yeah, if you're my father, yeah.
Similar to me, James, Jimmy, depends on who you ask.
Yeah,
Giacomo, other things as well.
Yeah, it depends on if I like you.
Exactly. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, pleasure. So yeah, I'm excited to get to talk to you for a bunch of different reasons, but for the majority of our episodes, it's been a little bit newer agents, and to finally get to kind of talk, or we're kind of in the evolution of getting some people that are farther in their career, which is nice. So with that being said, kind of give me some, how long have you been in the business? What kind of grinds your gears or gets you going in the day?
Sure. Yeah. So, now that we're getting to the gray hair portion of your segments. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. So yeah, I've been in the business a while, 15 years this year.
Cool.
So I've seen a lot. I got started in 2009 when everyone was jumping off ship. I was climbing aboard. People kind of wondering why I would start, it's such a weird time in the business and one of the worst markets, in our lifetime. But truly it was a great time to start because I was able to learn a lot. It gave me thick skin. It was a tough market to navigate. It was really difficult. I mean, I could tell you my first deal was with a close friend of mine who ended up having to cut his losses and write a check for $50,000 just to stop the bleeding, which, I did my job, but it still wasn't a win. It didn't feel like a win, but I was still kind of helping him. But it was a really challenging market. So coming out of that, it really kind of set the tone for the rest of my career in terms of being resilient, having that thick skin, and just persevering. It's a difficult industry. We were just kind of talking about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot. You got to dig deep to really stick it out. It's a long game. There's no short success model in this business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's pretty indicative of most businesses that last. I think it's just the thick skin, and then just not quitting. We'll quit tomorrow. You know what I mean? And then tomorrow never really comes,
Yeah, I mean, look, 2023, this last year was difficult, right?
Yeah.
And so for a lot of the newer agents on my team, it was a lot of this sort of mindset coaching from going back to when I was dealing with it. Alone, I didn't have that team atmosphere. It was really difficult. So I think it helps to have that team atmosphere to help support each other as well. But it requires, like I said, thick skin.
So there's two things that I am kind of thinking about. I want to start with this. What was your driving factor then to get into the business? And then I want to touch in to your team and what's that building process? What are you thinking about as a team lead for all the agents that are under you? So what was your, what made you kind of attracted to real estate?
Yeah, so prior to real estate, I was in the hospitality industry, so working in restaurants, right? A lot of us can relate to that. Yeah. And at the time, I didn't really think of it as, a birthplace for my, sort of what I would sort of translate into a career later. Yeah. But it served me well. I mean, the whole idea of hospitality, it's what we do. We provide a service, right? Getting ahead of needs, right? There's this idea that, you provide a service, but you can also provide hospitality, which is, there's a difference, right? Totally. And this is getting into some of the Danny Meyer. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but, a famous restaurateur out of New York, the Shake Shack Group, right?
Okay, yeah.
He's one of the most iconic industry leaders in hospitality, and he wrote a book called Setting the Table. And the whole idea of it is, there's a difference between service and hospitality. Yeah. Service is given, right? There's a sequence of service. Hospitality is felt.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a big differentiator, right?
Even in our business, that is something that's translated so well for me. Hospitality. It's just the ability to even talk to someone and make them, again, you use the word feel, that to me is something that I is invaluable of all those days of serving people, being in just the service industry. So
100%.
I relate to that so much.
So spent a lot of time in the restaurant business, trying to figure out my path, sort of while I was waiting tables in steakhouses in Chicago. Just to sort of drop a couple names of where I worked back in the day, Nine Steakhouse,
Cool.
Nine and Ghost Bar, MK Restaurant,
Let's go.
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. So I worked at some pretty cool places, established a lot of great relationships. And it's sort of like, it's sort of in me, this hospitality. So going through the process of looking at properties myself, I was really unimpressed with, the type of agents that I was running into. With my leasing agent at the time, I was looking at rentals. And it just sort of coincided with this weird sort of time and me trying to get a job in marketing and advertising. I went to school, while I was waiting tables, I went to school at Columbia College.
Cool.
So I graduated with a marketing communications major with a focus on advertising. Okay. But in 2008, 2009, there were no marketing jobs to be had. So I was, at least I had a server job to fall back on waiting tables.
But
I was also looking for a rental at the time. And again, unimpressed. I was just, this guy pulled up in like a 5 Series BMW and knew nothing about the property, was unimpressive, was just, kind of collecting a paycheck. But I was like, this is interesting, because I was starting to think about other alternatives to, advertising, because it was really difficult trying to find a job at the time. Mm-hmm. And so, lo and behold, my girlfriend at the time, wife now, got her real estate license first. Shout out to Agnes, yeah. And she led the path there.
Gave you a little push?
Yeah, she did. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. I was kind of learning about it through her. Yeah. And I said, I could see myself doing this, Yeah. And so I did. So I got my license, and sort of the rest is history. But, I guess transitioning into that sort of, after I got my license, it was a difficult time to build a business. Yeah. So I needed that second job. Actually, I had a third job too. So at the time,
sounds about right.
Yeah, it sounds about right. And so that's why you see all the gray hair. And I keep it tight because I'm a little bald. There's reasons for that. Work, grinding it. Like bootstrapping and regular and other businesses, people refer to it. This is bootstrapping in our business. Yeah. It's putting in the time.
Yeah.
But there was a big element to this that was missing for me, and I didn't know at the time. It was having mentorship and structure and accountability and sort of a blueprint to follow. Because back then in 2009, this idea of having a real estate team wasn't really prevalent.
Yeah.
So I was just a solo agent, trying to get the word out, waiting for emails or phone calls. It was just like, when is this thing going to sort of take off? When am I going to feel like I have something in this business? And so I did that for a number of years, about 5 or 6 years. And I swear every November, December, I was like, I'm going to hang this up. There's nothing happening here. It's just like, it was, but I stuck it out. Because I really saw myself succeeding in this one way or the other.
Yeah.
So again, working the other jobs, paying the bills, bought me the time to stick it out. And then it was about, like I said, 6 years into it. So 2015-ish, I really made the commitment to
go all in.
Yeah. But not just go all in by myself. I really wanted a team. Okay. I knew I wanted a team because I left the restaurant. I was in the restaurant business going into this new career path alone, and I didn't like that feeling of being alone. I loved the camaraderie from the restaurant business, that sense of, fellowship, having fun, working together, teamwork, right? So that was a big part of why I wanted a team, but also because I saw other successful realtors burning themselves out.
Yeah.
And it's a high burnout rate in this business. So, and I do see that at the time, I saw people doing it differently. There's a million ways to earn an income having a real estate license. But I saw a lot of top producing agents really burning themselves out. But then I saw others that weren't, that had more of this sort of collaborative team with support and leverage and things. So I started on this quest to really learn. And I was, having coffee meetings, lunch meetings with agents that I had admired, that I had done deals with or interacted with. And I met one agent in particular who we sort of hit it off, and he had a big business and sort of needed some help. And I was like, okay, maybe I can step into this world of, just kind of working together and seeing what that feels like.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and we hired somebody, and, we sort of got this idea of this team off the ground. And this was with
Did you find, so I know for me, and even in our, in what I can just relate, is this whole idea of having a team, but like letting go of the reins of your own. Like for me, it's been so hard to like trust other people to take care of business because no one in my mind can do it as well as me.
Yeah.
Did you ever struggle with that?
Of course. You're like, "I'm human." Yeah, of course. I mean, in this industry, it's you are your brand, right?
100%.
There's a big emphasis on me as the business. I found, my name's on the business, right? There's a big emphasis on that. And this was part of my learning process, right? Kind of getting back to that a little bit. I made a decision kind of early on when I went to Compass 6 years ago. I made a decision to not have my name in the team name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have agents join my team and feel like they were living in my shadow. But also, it kind of helped me to get myself out of my own way in terms of my ego.
Yeah.
And because
I love that.
Everyone has, yeah. I mean, that was a good decision. I would recommend that to any, any agent that's considering a team, right? The problem is you generally have a business of your own and then you start a team.
Right.
So you are your own brand and then what? You want to continue that branding. But I think it's a good exercise to think about if you're really going to, and even if you are, even if your name is in the team name, you can still rebrand. Okay. 100%. And then you can kind of create a legacy and not burn yourself out because, it's a myth. What you said is 100% true. Most people think that they have to be everywhere and do everything for everyone. Yeah. And if you're good at being a real estate agent, it's because you're good at those things.
Yeah.
Right. It's because you're good at taking care of others. Yeah. You're being thoughtful, right? You're leading with service and hospitality. Right. And so this idea of trying to, bring other people in and create this, and to help support your business so you don't have to do everything. It's actually, it's smart. It's a myth that you have to be everywhere and be everything, and your clients need to work with just you. I think that's a myth. I think your clients become accustomed to a certain level of service that you provide. And if you're a good leader and manager,
delegator,
then you can bring on talent and bring them to that place.
Yep.
And that way you can introduce this team service, which is what, in my opinion, is the only way that you could really scale up in this industry and not burn yourself out and be available for everyone, including yourself and your family.
100%. Yeah. I mean, service business, that's the only way we've found that we can actually handle anything of like substantial, like quantity. It's like Memo and I can't do it all.
No,
we're not even close. Like I fizzled out more than one time, and Memo's like, "Hey man, you're not building the system. You're not building your team."
Yeah, no, look,
and you're not trusting them.
If you're Bob Ross, then you're a one-man show, right? Painting happy trees. Yeah. But if you're in a team, if you're in a service-based industry, you can scale. Not everyone wants to scale or should scale, and it's okay. Like if you want to stay in your lane and just be a solo agent with maybe an assistant, great. If you want to build something bigger, you have to accept this idea that getting out of your way, bringing people on to help leverage, creating a team service model, in my opinion, is probably the best way to do that.
So as you were building your team, what were some of I guess I actually really want to ask this. How did you even come up with the idea to go team route? Did you have a mentor? Did you have someone that was like giving you a coaching lesson on all this? Because that's, from, again, my own experience, that is a difficult thing to just try to navigate. You kiss a lot of frogs.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, really. I kiss some frogs for sure.
Hey, trademark Memo says that to you.
Yeah.
We're going to kiss some frogs.
Yeah, no, I love that analogy, and it's true. I think for me, it was learning from others' mistakes and realizing that I am better serving in a team environment, and I'm a team guy. Some people are just not set up that way. But again, coming from the restaurant business, having team service, that was ingrained in me. And I came from a higher level of service in the restaurant business, and so I give this analogy. So when I'm meeting with a new client, and I talk about our team service, right? How we work as a team to provide that high level of service. I give the analogy of Alinea, okay? Totally. When you pull your car up to Alinea for dinner, you don't pull up the car and then Grant Achatz is parking your car, valeting your car, and then he checks your coat, and then he seats you, and then he takes your order, and then brings you drinks, and so on and so forth. The reason why they are a 3-star Michelin restaurant is because they deliver on a high level because of their team. Their service model is team oriented. Yeah. And so everyone has a specific role. Now, I don't have roles for everyone on my team. It's not, and I can get more into how my team is set up.
Sure.
But the idea that, I just can't do everything, and that really rung true during COVID.
Yeah.
When, the real estate business was, everybody was knee jerking, buying and selling, and it was just a lot, fast and furious. And I also became a new dad during that time too.
Go.
So I was raising a newborn during COVID. It was insane. So thankfully I had this support in this team model, right? Because So it was a great decision that I made back then. It's probably the best advice that I would give to any agent is to really think about what it's like, not just for you to be the team lead and what kind of support you can get, but also what does it feel like to be on that team, right? What does it feel like to be an agent on that team? What's the value that you provide them? So because the idea is to keep the team together, right?
Yeah.
And not have people leave, and some people will leave, and if
that's just natural process.
That's natural.
Yeah.
But it's also like, how do we create this team where, we coexist, we support each other, and that is what is a collaborative team model. There's different types of teams, and the Moda Group is a collaborative team.
Cool. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So perfect. We're ending with the team, but what are we looking for potentially in new people to join the team? What are some of the things that you are going to hang your hat on? This is our team. This is why you join our team.
It's a great question, and I think it's probably a difficult question for most team leads to answer. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this because the culture of our team is extremely important, and I think if you were to ask anyone on our team, what are some of the biggest strengths of our team, it's that culture that we have, that supportive culture. There's common threads throughout a lot of the people on the team, and it's what I look for in a new agent, and it's kind of like this avatar that I have for our culture.
Yeah, totally.
And what it is for me, it's a few things. It is sort of this innate sort of desire to want to help people. People kind of just have that, right? I don't want to use the word people pleaser because that's not
that could necessarily be you're just bending to their will.
Yeah, and you got to respect yourself, your boundaries, and things like that. But I would say that I can kind of feel that out when I meet with somebody and start talking to them. I can kind of feel that out. That's important. Another thing is you've got to have drive and work ethic to stick it out for the long haul that we were talking about in this business. Yeah. You can't when I meet with new agents, I'm very clear. I said, this is not a instant success business, right? It'll take you a while. It's a slow burn, right? Especially the way we approach business, which is the relationship-based, referral-based model. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And
that's the only way.
It's you can buy leads, and there's teams that are set up that way, and they're successful. But I look at sort of the way we run the team and having this relationship-based model, referral-based model, is that when we throw our client events, we look around the room and we're like, these are our people, you know?
Yeah.
And it feels good. We're working with people that we want to be around, because these are people that are in our circles.
I love that.
So the first one, again, going back to what I look for, it's the sort of this ingrained hospitality that people have. And if they've been in the restaurant business, I like that. Yeah. And I want to talk about that. I want to understand more about their experience in the restaurant business, in hospitality. And we do have quite a few of those people on our team. No surprise.
Yeah,
that's one of the common threads. Yeah. It's not a prerequisite, but it's a common thread.
It's a plus.
It is a plus. Yeah. So the second one was drive and work ethic. And the third one is having a positive energy. Yeah. Because there's nothing worse than having a team where one or two people are just Debbie Downers. And it's easy to do in this business, and we all have our moments. There's always difficult situations daily. But you've got to ride through that, and the best way to do it is to have this positive outlook. So that to me is kind of I can if I have that to work with.
Well, yeah, that's literally what I was going to say. The intangible attributes are those are the core of what you're looking for, and that other stuff how, what to do, what this means, you can teach that.
Yeah,
anyone thinking can go that way.
Agreed.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. And that's such good insight. That's one of the reasons I love doing this so much is even though we're not in the same business, you're farther along in your business, and a lot of these principles, and that's what also someone that's farther in their career, I love it because the principles and how to think about things and like change your mindset just a little bit. And now you're in a different realm of thinking. And that's the coolest part.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. That comes with, a lot of miles, and failing, right?
Yeah. Failing
but you've probably heard this before, but it's like failing forward, learning from these mistakes. And fortunately, I've learned from other people's mistakes, right? So that I could implement things that I thought would tailor to a successful path and career and group. And so, we don't do everything perfectly. I'm very happy at this point with where the team is at. We've got a lot of great agents that care a lot about not just their clients, but each other. So it allows the team to be able to have a life. I don't, there's some agents out there that brag about how many days they're in the office, and I'm not going to name any names, but I think that only contributes to this burnout. You got to show up for yourself before you show up for others. And so we do a lot of that on our team, and we show up for each other. This idea of hospitality starts on our team, and we actually call it hospitality. I mean, it's kind of cheesy and kitschy, but it's on our website. We talk about hospitality. And it's this encompassing. It's sort of like our driver. It is how we treat everyone from within the team and then pushing out to other brokers, to vendors, to clients. It's why we have a good reputation. It's why people want to work with us. It's why we get referrals. And it's why our team is so gelled.
That's great. Yeah, I get where you're like, oh, that's cheesy, but I love the idea of like, it's something you hang your hat on. It's like, this is what we're going to be.
Yeah.
The hospitality. Like, this is it. Like,
don't steal that.
No,
it was out there.
It was here first.
I actually looked at trademarking it, but that's another conversation.
Okay, so I think this is a perfect transition into, we're in 1625.
1625, West Winona.
Yep. So talk to me about this property. Like, we got to spend the morning here shooting photos, doing video, getting content. But tell me, why someone should be interested in this property and like some of the key features that I missed.
Yeah, for sure. This is a great property. We really are excited about this particular listing. It has history. This building was built in 1920 as a brick 2-flat, a multi-family building.
Yeah.
Okay. And in 2015, the current owner, the seller, deconverted it to a single family and created an in-law setup in the basement, multi-generational living, and enjoyed the home. The family kind of grew out of the house. There was just, the needs had changed, and then decided to put in a full renovation for the next family to enjoy this home. And so there were a lot of things about this home that are preserved. One being the facade. No. The facade, it's all brick, and it was a blonde, sort of this mustardy, not so attractive brick, face brick, that the seller had her mason stain.
Cool.
Not paint, but stain. So a lot of times you see in these gut renovations, you see the bricks painted like a white or a gray, just go right over the brick. This was stained, and I think it was a really tasteful decision.
Cool.
And it looks like it brings it back to
life.
When it brings it back to life, and it really honors the sort of that style of this home. So that's one thing that I love about this house. But the size of this house, it really caters to a growing family, or it's 4,150 square feet, which is large for a standard Chicago lot. The reason why she was able to get this amount of square footage is she built an addition off the back, 3 levels. It extends from the basement to the main floor to the second floor, and it added an additional 900 square feet to the house. The reason why she was able to get that kind of square footage is because the zoning is multifamily. And it allows for more square footage.
Okay.
So typically you only find 3,600 to 3,800 square feet on these standard lots. Totally. This is an unusually large home. You feel it right when you walk in. It's also, the house goes to the lot line on one side. So you actually get an additional 2.5 feet of width in this house, which you feel as well.
Totally.
So big house, 6 bedrooms, 4 up, which having 4 bedrooms up is great. Yeah. A lot of people like that. 2 bedrooms down, 3.5 baths. Nice high-end quality build, nice finishes, and the location. Location's incredible.
Right.
Walkable to Clark and Foster. You got all the restaurants up and down Andersonville.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite neighborhoods. I actually don't live that far from here, so
Yeah.
it was a nice little, just easy drive over here. Like I said, I've probably lived here for the last 8 or 9 years, and I love it. Like, I
Great.
love the way it's just the vibe. It's city, but it still feels, sometimes I feel like I'm in a beach town. I just feel I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. A lot of people don't realize you're exactly 1 mile to the beach, Foster Beach.
Yeah, which is, if you haven't gone to Foster Beach is one of the nicest beaches, I think, in the city. I think it's very overlooked. Everyone goes down to Montrose, but Foster's just a little bit more north.
Yeah.
Much more family vibe, and it's, that's my beach.
A lot of great stuff. So you get that. You got Winnemac Park, not too far away. You got the Ravenswood Metro.
Totally, yeah.
Some great stuff. Some good schools.
Lincoln Square isn't that far with all that.
Yeah.
I'm all about this area.
I'm big on Andersonville too. Yeah, I'm a fan.
So that's great. I love that we kind of touched based on the neighborhood. Oh, I kind of want to say this as well. With this place being so large, it still really feels like warm and like inviting and cozy. Like, all that space you talk about doesn't feel, I don't feel like I'm in just like a endless abyss, which I personally kind of like. It feels warmer to me. But that was just my little tidbit on it.
I'm glad that you said that, because I agree. I agree with that. And right now we're sitting in a open space. You have sight lines front to back. It's almost 1,400 square feet in this floor.
Really?
Yeah. And I can tell you that the staging is a big part of that, right? And Haven staging, got to give a shout out to Haven, right? Of course.
He gets it.
Sure, yeah.
Perfect.
So did an incredible job with this home in creating what you're feeling. This environment where it's warm, it doesn't feel open and cold and sterile. By creating these smaller areas within this first floor and in the basement and throughout that just make this home feel very comfortable and cozy.
Yeah, like you want, like, people actually live in here.
Agree.
And actually, you could see yourself living in here. Yep. So with your properties and staging them, is that something that you think has like obviously you think it has a tremendous benefit, but like, what are some of the things that you can touch on to be getting your places staged? Like, from the buyers and sellers perspective, what do you think they're saying when you're doing that?
Yeah. So staging more than pays for itself is what I tell people. It's hard to quantify that before you even put it on the market and get a sale price. So, we put our necks out a lot on the list side, making our recommendations, but I've done this for a long time, and I know what works. I know what sells, and staging sells. Staging evokes an emotional connection to the property. Yeah. It's what you just explained. Yeah. You said you feel cozy and warm in here, right? Yeah. I would say, well, you should make an offer then.
Yeah. Not yet. Not yet. We're
okay.
close.
All right.
We're close.
All right. Anyone else out there? But
give me a year.
All right. Give me something to work towards.
Yeah.
But that's it. What you said is why we staged. If this was vacant, it wouldn't feel that way.
Yeah, we wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, and buyers, you would think as much HGTV shows are out there that people have vision. They really don't. Yeah. Most people don't have vision. They can't envision exactly how a space would be laid out or how to furnish it. So that's where we bring in Haven. And another good thing about Haven is, in addition to staging, they do occupied staging. So if a family lives in a property or somebody lives in a property, and there's ways that we think we can sort of like enhance that connection, that buyer connection to the way the property shows. And they do staging for properties that are occupied. So that could be as simple as just some accessories. That could be replacing furniture items, which is super cool. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people know about.
Yeah. I've worked with them a lot. I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Now you all know.
There you go.
Yeah. Talking about, kind of touching base, talking about Haven, talking about their staging, talk about another company that's a hospitality, like forward and service, and like how they see business and how they interact with not only, I can speak for ourselves. Like they have just been really good to us and have gotten they've done things for us that they didn't have to. And so it's nice to give them that love. And a business that thinks, I think, similar to how both of us think about business and life and people.
I agree. I agree with that.
So one thing I kind of want to go into the kind of final segment, as I would say, talking about real estate and how, and for us, it's more video related. How are you seeing how are you seeing real estate and marketing your business through social, but more importantly, like video content? Like, what can that do for an agent?
Well, this is definitely something that has been more at the forefront of our efforts within the past few years. My team jokes and calls me a boomer, and it's partially because of my lack of social media skills and whatnot and technology. But I do understand it. We use it. So from a team perspective, we have an in-house social media manager. Cool. We have a dedicated effort to putting out content. Short video format is what we find is most effective. Yeah. And it allows our audience, which is primarily past clients and people that are connected to us in some way, shape, or form through real estate, to be able to engage with us and for us to stay connected to them. Yeah. It's just visibility. We're not driving a ton of leads or anything out of it. Yeah. It's more so to maintain these relationships and put ourselves out there to show people what we're up to stay top of mind. I mean, that's the formula. Yeah. It's just another cylinder in the engine of us, driving our relationship-based business. Yeah. Right. Staying visible and staying connected.
Well, that's the thing that we always say, that the video content or social media content is it's a warm handshake vibe. It's like, especially, you might not be driving leads now from it, and that's another conversation. I think the way you drive leads is more of an education-based system, and then the organic, like, hey, look at me in the place, is something that's secondary. But the way to drive those leads is through education, because people think of you now as that expert in Andersonville. Yeah, name it.
100%.
And then that drives the leads, because then it's the warm handshake. And then when you reach out to them, is something we do all the time, is that we start to build this relationship online through a hey, what's up, through a conversation. Yep. And then when we reach out to them, our leads are much warmer. And they're like, I have seen.
Warm handshake, yeah.
Yeah, and or it's like, hey, we're following each other on social media. I'm the owner of Reup Productions. How you doing today? I just wanted to give you a call.
That's it. It's a relation. It's like you've got cousins and extended family that you don't see all the time, right? But they get to see what you're up to every day in social media, and stay connected. And so for us, like, it's not that we don't drive leads. We do. It's not the main reason why we do it. Yeah. It's just to be visible. It's to provide this way to stay in touch. It's having somebody dedicated on the team to help.
That's a must.
Yeah, because we've struggled with this in the past. And it's really just like, we're out in the field, we're running around, everything's reactive. You have to have a plan, a social media calendar. You have to get ahead of this stuff. You have to film content. You can't just, you can't have this consistent, it's like anything with marketing or staying in touch. You got to be consistent about it.
Yeah.
So so putting in the effort, and it does show, and it's, could we be doing a better job? Probably.
But that's everybody.
But it's consistent enough to where we feel like people can engage with us. They know who we are, right?
Who you are, what you do, where they can find you.
And we're able to, and then so there's a team social media, and then each agent on the team has their own individual account. And this is a great way for us to stay connected, and to also just like give a touch point, like you said, a warm handshake to somebody that, instead of just hitting a like, maybe we slide in and we message them.
Just say, hey,
I saw your post. That's awesome. What have you been up to? Let's grab coffee. Yep. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and then it is literally as simple as that. I think that for so many people with the whole idea of social media, they overthink it. And it goes back to this idea of consistency. Whatever you do, consistency builds trust with your people. It's like, again, the warm handshake, all that stuff. It's just like, if you keep doing it, people understand your look, your vibe, and your feel.
That's it.
And that is like just the name of the game. And what you do, where they can find you.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, keep it simple, stupid. It's something Memo and I talk about all the time.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think people get to this or that, or get too much in their heads about it.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's like, let's not overthink this.
Yeah. Like for us, I mean, I'll just, sort of like the basic buckets for us is, I mentioned before, a lot of us come from hospitality. We're very food centric. We're tied into restaurants.
Beautiful.
The kind of running joke is like, we can get you a home and we can also get you a reservation.
You're
like,
a good person to know.
Yeah. Right. And people know that. People know that who are watching this. They're like, oh yeah, James, hit me up. I'll get you a reservation.
Don't worry, James.
It's about providing value, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, so the buckets for us are simple. It's like, we put out content that connects us to the community with restaurants, right? Food centric type things. Cause we're not just selling the home, we're selling the community, we're selling the restaurant down the street.
Yeah.
So we showcase that a lot. So we keep it simple. We don't overdo it. We do sprinkle in obviously the professional, neighborhood, expert type stuff or data or things that are relevant in the marketplace right now. Of course, we want to be approachable though. We don't want to just spit out, just all the same stuff that all these other realtors are saying. We want to be more driven with like lifestyle. Like we find that the people that work with us because we're relatable to them.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily because of the experience. We have a lot of experience collectively on the team. We do. And we do a lot of business. And that's a plus.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of those people out there.
Totally.
And so what is it about me? It's that you connect with me. It's that we relate to each other. This is, again, it goes back to relationships. It's very, to me, that's the basis for all this.
Is more of the relationship side, which I get. I think obvious, well, not even obvious, but something that's, I've learned is relationships are the only way I get business. Like, the way I build my relationships and my rapport with people, like people buy things from me because, we do a good job. Obviously, that goes without saying, but they like me. It's like I like working.
Well, they buy into you because they relate to you or they trust you, and that's the start of any good relationship.
100%. Yeah. I think I'm done with my questions. This is the time of the episode where I will let you give your shameless plug. You can say to that camera, and then whenever you're ready.
All right. So James Diaz is team lead with the Moda Group at Compass in Chicago. You can reach out to me personally. You can email me at james@modagrp.com. My cell phone number, you can call me directly or text me 773-425-0706. The team website to come check us out, learn a little bit more about us, is modagrp.com. And follow us on Instagram, Moda.
Let's go.
Am I getting it? ModaGRP_Chicago.
Awesome.
There it is.
All right, everybody. This is going to be the end of the episode. Real quick, just want to thank Haven Homestaging for sponsoring this video. See you later, guys.
Thanks, Bobby.